to become the first country considered as a biosphere reserve, thanks to our model of balance between development and sustainability. We spare no effort in bringing about the energy transition and promoting renewable energy. We are reducing our energy dependence, and we subsidize programs relating to energy efficacy of buildings or electric mobility. The imminent entry into force of the carbon tax has also made it possible to considerably reduce the price of public transport. And shortly we will be approving a law on the circular economy, which will mean that we can move from a linear economy to a more efficient economic model, which will optimize the use of natural resources and reduce the environmental impact to ensure the use of natural products and resources that can be maintained as long as possible and therefore avoid losses, particularly material losses. Excellencies, the action of Andorra to alleviate the consequences of COVID-19 has always had the aim of guaranteeing people's health and preserving our health system. I'd like to thank neighbouring countries, France, Spain and Portugal, for their solidarity, which made it possible to distribute vaccines, as well as for the mechanisms of supply of the European Union and the WHO, and through the COVAX programme, thanks to which Andorra was able to administer complete vaccine doses to almost 75% of the population of 16 years or older. The economic of COVID-19 has had heavy consequences on our economy. We are extremely dependent on this tourism sector. The government has supported families, workers and companies. Following the pandemic, we have speeded up certain processes that we had already begun, and we have promoted others to rethink tourism as a sustainable vector of the economy and opening up our economy to new sectors. We are counting on a reopening that will make it possible to create stability, growth, and to diversify our economy and to create new jobs, to redirect public expenditure towards sectors that have a most diversifying effect, and concentrating particularly on policies that promote health, sustainability, knowledge, and innovation and human capital. The COVID-19 pandemic has sorely tested us as societies. It has taught us that the present and the future require less individualism, selfishness or confrontation, and more cooperation, resilience, empathy, and solidarity. No country, no community has been able to address this pandemic without a concept of solidarity. Due to our vocation and given our nature, Andorra cannot allow itself to leave anyone behind. We will do everything we can to contribute with all of you to changing this world in accordance with the Agenda 2030 goals. It is with this message and by reiterating our commitment, clear commitment, to multilateralism and the United Nations that we enter this 76th session of the General Assembly of the United Nations. I thank you.
Au nom de l'Assemblée générale, je tiens à le chef de gouvernement.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I would like to thank the head of government of the Principality of Andorra for his statement.
The distinguished representative of Eswatini to introduce an address by the head of government.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, I have the honor to introduce a pre-recorded statement by His Excellency the Right Honorable Cleopas Sipho Dlamini, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, during the general debate of the 76th session of the General Assembly. I thank you.
The President, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Cabinet, United Nations Secretary General, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, it is my singular honor to address the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Allow me to express my sincere congratulations to you, Mr. President, on your election as President of the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly. We commend the outstanding leadership and sterling performance of the outgoing President. I also extend our profound congratulations to the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, for his re-election for another 5-year term. The theme of this session touches on every aspect of our daily lives. It underscores the need to ensure that the world does not lose sight of the 3 dimensions of sustainable development during the last decade of implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the decade of action. Over the past year, the Kingdom of Eswatini experienced immeasurable and unimaginable setbacks in implementation of our development priorities since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. This compelled the country to rethink its development strategy and redirect its resources to cater for additional needs of the population. Nevertheless, we have not lost sight of the objective of 2030 Agenda, to leave no one behind. Mr. President, sincere appreciation goes to all the frontline medical workers who have become the first line of defense in the battle against the virulent pandemic, laboring tirelessly to keep us safe. Many of them throughout this challenging period lost their lives for our sake. Without their commitment and sacrifice, the world would not have been anywhere near the path to recovery from this pandemic. In the same vein, similar appreciation and honor also goes to all those involved in research, sharing of expertise and resource mobilization, be it institutions and individuals, for the successful development of vaccines. It is without doubt that the panacea for all practical, effective and efficient plan to recover from COVID-19 pandemic rests on vaccination of the nation population. This has been demonstrated and proven in countries that have endeavored to achieve herd immunity. Low access to vaccines by many countries remains a cause for concern. Such a scenario has been more pronounced in developing countries, especially countries in special situations in Africa and other vulnerable regions. This was one of the pressing reasons why Eswatini supported the call for a temporal waiver of the obligation of member states under the TRIPS agreement to protect intellectual property rights for technologies related to the prevention, containment of treatment of COVID-19. The Kingdom of Eswatini applauds the establishment of the COVAX facility, which came to existence through efforts by the United Nations in the wake of the pandemic and solely meant to be of assistance to member states, particularly low middle-income countries. As a beneficiary, Eswatini is grateful for such an initiative and also extends further appreciation to the generous donors, particularly the United States of America, amongst many others, whom their absence, the objective of this initiative would not have been achieved thus far. Mr. President, in this view, the Kingdom of Eswatini commends African countries that have commenced manufacturing COVID-19 vaccines. We bank on the successful implementation of the African Continent Free Trade Area to widen and strengthen Africa's integration process. We are confident that this arrangement will create or strengthen the value chains and the ability of African countries to produce more vaccines. Eswatini has prioritized health for every member of the population, is at the center of our socio-economic agenda. Currently, a significant percentage of our eligible population has been vaccinated, having commenced with our frontline staff and elderly. Most recently, effective 30th August 2021, the Eswatini government commenced inoculation all aged 18 years and above. We aim at reaching herd immunity, hopefully by the end of 2021. Mr. President, the resilience is a multifaceted and complex concept that calls for our attention to comprehend its meaning academically and in practice. It entails the ability to bounce back, and build better from any situation that confronts us. In the context of the pandemic, resilience transcends the health sector to cut across all sectors of the economy. The Kingdom of Eswatini believes that the starting point of building resilience through hope entails access to vaccination by all eligible population, and while doing so, ensuring that no one is left behind. This will determine the ability, power, and speed to recover from COVID-19 and to rebuild sustainably. Like many other countries, the pandemic has been an eye-opener for the Kingdom of Eswatini and has overly sensitized government to rethink resilience and incorporate in its work policies. In this view, building resilience has become a cornerstone and an inevitable component in all our mitigation, adaptation strategies and recovery plans. Mr. President, the pandemic has momentarily shifted our focus from issues that are perpetually on the global agenda, particularly our quest to respond to the needs of